The intraoperative complications are primary hemorrhage. Primary hemorrhage could be because of one is uterine atony. Uterus is very flabby and not contracting, and that can lead to heavy hemorrhage. And it should be treated by oxytocics like syntocinon, methergine, or prostaglandin injection. Sometimes you may need to massage the uterus, and rarely you may have to put some other special ligatures like B-Lynch ligature, and if it doesn't control at all, then you may end up doing caesarean hysterectomy or removal of the uterus. Another reason for this is the lacerations of the uterus. The incision may get extended laterally. The horizontal incision in the lower segment may get extended laterally, and it may involve the uterine vessels, which will lead to very heavy bleeding, or it can lead to broad ligament hematoma. Then it may extend lower down in the vagina, and that also can cause bleeding. This all should be treated by taking proper suture and controlling this bleeding. There can be an injury to some other internal organs. Sometimes there is an injury to the bladder. This usually happens in the repeat caesarean section, where there may be additions between bladder and uterus. And this, if the bladder is injured, then it should be repaired with 2-0-chromic catgut and in double layer, and the bladder is given rest by continuous catheterization for 2 weeks generally. Then there can be injury to the ureter. This happens when there is extension of the incision in the laterally in the uterine vessels, and heavy bleeding is there, and you're trying to control this bleeding, and ureter can get injured. And if there is any adhesions between intestines and uterus or surrounding organs, or near the incision area of the uterus there are intestinal adhesions, then sometimes there may be injury to the GI tract also. Then in case there is a placenta accreta in a placenta previa with a history of LSCS in a placenta previa, it may get morbidly adherent to the scar. It may get partially separated. Then this patient can have very heavy bleeding intraoperatively, which sometimes cannot be controlled, and it results in surgeon doing total hysterectomy. Then some other complications are injury to the baby. While doing the operation, when you are opening the uterus, maybe baby's head is there or cheek is there, and the scalpel may touch the baby, and there may be injury to the baby also. Sometimes during the delivery of the baby, if it is very difficult, with some manipulation, some internal podalic version is done, or some other manipulation, then baby may get injured, baby may get maybe fracture of some long bones, arm bones. So there can be injury to the baby also. Especially there can be sometimes difficulty in the delivery of the head. It can lead to some complication, as I already have told about some injury to the baby. Then there can be anesthesia complications of aspiration, and something known as Mandelson syndrome, where there is aspiration of acid juice from the stomach to the lungs, and it can lead to atelectasis of the lungs, or it can lead to pneumonitis of the lung. This complication may be seen in immediate post-op period also. Sometimes there can be a hypotension due to some anesthetic drugs. So these are some of the anesthesia complications. Sometimes it may lead to even cardiac arrest. Then some complications which are in post-operative period. In the post-operative period also, again there can be bleeding, PPH can be there again. If the uterus has gone in for atonicity, there can be bleeding, and there can be severe post-operative hemorrhage. Then there can be hemorrhage or because of blood coagulation disorder. Then patient can have even shock. This could be because of the loss of blood, or sometimes patient who is in a prolonged labor, who is already dehydrated, without correcting her dehydration and ketoacidosis, she is taken for section. There is a surgical stress and she can go in for shock. Anesthesia complications, I have already told you, there can be Mandelson syndrome, and there can be hypotension, and there may be spinal headache. Then paralytic ileus can be there post-operatively, and there can be intestinal obstructions because of some adhesions or some bands. Then deep vein thrombosis can be there, or there may be pulmonary edema also. Then there can be some kind of infections. The infections can be of various organs. There can be infection of the lung, there can be infection peritonitis or pelvic abscess, or there can be infection of the bladder. There's a urinary tract infection can be there. Sometimes in post-operative period there will be a breast abscess, or there may be a genital infection, there may be endometritis, or there may be infection of the wound, and there may be septic thrombophlebitis. So these are various types of infection where patient may have fever in the puerperium. So whenever she has fever, persistent fever more than 24 hours, then we have to rule out this infection. Mainly, as I told you, urinary tract infection, genital infection, then breast infection, lung infection, thrombophlebitis, peritonitis. Then what may happen, this infection can also be more if there are repeated PVs are done, the genital infection, repeated PVs are done, or there is a prolonged rupture of membrane, PROM is there, history of PROM, and there may be infection because of the preterm labor also, and this can be prevented by giving antibiotics. It will prevent it or it can be reduced. So these are some of the complications of the post-operative pain. Then there can be some late complications. Again, sometimes secondary PPH can occur because of the infection. Then the patient may complain of some menstrual irregularities, or there may be chronic pelvic pain, or there may be backache, chronic backache can be there. Then sometimes the patient may come with incisional hernia or late development of intestinal obstruction because of adhesions and the bands. Then some